Hello everyone, welcome back to my Final Fantasy XIV area ranking. It is time for the finale. This trilogy of parts of me going through every single area. It's been a lot of fun, going through these places and just reliving old memories of this game. So today we're going to be going through Endwalker and Dawntrail, the end of the long-running story and then the beginning of the next story, as one would describe it. Weirdly, it would make more sense to put Shadowbringers with Endwalker, but I decided just to do it 2 expansions at a time. So, Armorborn, Heavensword, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and now Dawntrail and Endwalker. So, we're going to get started with Endwalker, because this expansion is kind of like pick-a-mix, but for Final Fantasy. Every single area is different and has a different purpose in the story, as opposed to previous expansions where they've been like areas within one location. So, Northrend being all the 6 places, or Stormblood being Alamiga and Offord. In Endwalker, they're all different parts of the world, and it makes a lot of sense considering Endwalker does go a lot of places. So, starting with, well, Old Sharlayan. Old Sharlayan, man. I mean, what is there to say about this beautiful university-esque campus? We've talked a little bit in the past about the fact that the geography of Etheirys resembles a lot of the actual world. So Eorzea is kind of Asia / Europe. And I would say Old Sharlayan is definitely the United Kingdom. The kind of campus university style, like kind of like Oxford a little bit in some ways. And you can definitely see that here. The music is pleasant. A lot of big events happen here, including the intimate scenes with the Scions occur at this place. I mean, I do enjoy Sharlayan culture a little bit. This is definitely my favorite handling of it so far. I do not care at all for Fortunal. He's a terrible father, but you know, he's trying his best. But yeah, a lot of events occur here, especially in the patch content. This is the route we take to get to Dawntrail as well, it's worth noting. So, overall, a really cool area. I mean, I love the atmosphere of this place, like a university campus. You can just feel the people brimming with knowledge, and it's kind of comfy in a way, but also a little bit intimidating. Like, you don't necessarily feel entirely at home in this place, but you know that this is where the Scions come from. I mean, Old Sharlayan is something that the fans have been waiting for years. Like, this expansion delivers on a lot of the promises they said before in terms of areas we're going to go to. So, Old Sharlayan, in terms of its design, knocked it out of the park. I think also it's a lot smaller and condensed than other city-states, which I like a lot. I prefer it when they're smaller if the stuff there is more detailed, and it is. Like, you got the library area, you've got the lecture theatre where you can actually go into it and see everyone debating. You've got the Levelou house, you've got the Last Stand, you've got the Baldessian estate, a bunch of places here that all have importance, and I like exploring it. Again, they sacrifice this area's size for detail, and I think that's a good thing. So where would I put it? I don't know if I'll put it in perfect. I mean, I would say, actually, I would say that's like Kagane. It's probably one of my favorites. So, you know, I am going to put it in perfect. I think it's a fantastic area that's handled really well. So I'm going to put it probably above Azim's. Yeah, I'm going to put it above Azimstep, which is a big thing, to be fair, because Azimstep, I love that place too. Right, so moving on to Labyrinthos. Now, this is controversial. I don't know if it is, actually. I think Labyrinthos is the weakest area in Endwalker. Not in terms of aesthetic, like, in terms of execution, that's where this area kind of falls apart for me. But the actual design, the interior sky dome, like the artificial sky, the weird sun in the middle, how the weather is different in this area to any other area in the game. Like, you can feel like this place is underground, and you have no idea how the Sharlayans even fucking built this place. Like, where did they get the money from for this? Who helped make this place? But I like the districts. I like how they each have their own, like, it kind of feels like an arc. There's a lot of different weird creatures here. And for the most part, I understand what they're trying to do with this place, but it kind of falls flat when it comes to the execution. While I enjoy Erenville's introduction and the fog stuff is very good, it's more so the return trip that's the problem. When you were building a teeny tiny boat, they made a very poor decision with the song they used and also the quests. The quests here are extremely obnoxious. You're hunting down Lopowitz for the most part. And while, you know, it's cool that we're working together with all these people to build a teeny tiny boat, it doesn't feel as cooperative as I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought we were going to be seeing a bunch more people from the other expansions helping out. They do appear, mind you. They do appear in the beginning cutscene, but then they disappear after that. They don't go to Labyrinthos, which is what they probably, in my opinion, should have done. And it's kind of kicked off with the best part of the quest, where you need to go around a giant village area to try and find 7 Lopowitz. They don't tell you where they are, and you've got to be very careful about looking. So, yeah. Also, music. Not the biggest fan of Labyrinthos' theme. It's a bit gimmicky. Again, personal opinion, I think. I just don't enjoy the kind of cuckoo clock aesthetic they have with the song. The night theme is very nice, though. I like the night theme a lot. And I can't really ignore the fact that in this area we have one of the best moments of Oyongjay and Moonbreeder's parents. And, of course, the Ethereal Sea and Heidelin stuff. But I don't really connect that to this area because the Atheoscope is more so away from Labyrinthos, I would say. But, I mean, a lot of important events happen here and I cannot ignore that. But I am going to say, in terms of personal enjoyment, I'm not a big fan of this area. I would put it in alright. I don't even know where I'd put it in alright. I would probably put it above the peaks. Yeah, I'll put it above the peaks. That's where I'm going to put it. Okay. Probably an area people were not expecting in Endwalker is Favner. Favner has very quickly, across the patch content, and I guess Endwalker itself, has very quickly warmed up to me. I just want to know what happened in the design room. Like, we need an area that's very natural and part of the world, and you grow to care about it, and then we're going to have the final days hit it, and you're going to feel very bad about what transpires there. Because in terms of culture, and how this place feels to traverse, this feels like proto-Dawntrail in some ways, I think. Like, I love exploring this. But the events that happen here are fantastic. I would say this is some of the best of an Endwalker. The Tower of Zot, going there for the first time, meeting Varshan, everything involved in the Arx of Dodara, the elephant people, is wonderful. Like, finding out about the dancer's origin, and this is where dancing came from. Well, not the dancing culture, but this is where dancers kind of did stuff a lot, is interesting. And we can't ignore the final days and the heartbreaking stuff that transpires in the northern area. This is one of the darkest parts of, I would say, the entire game, and it works in strides because of how lively and full of fun Favner feels compared to a lot of the other desolate wastelands. I didn't need this place in Endwalker because after this, I mean, you got areas that are desolate wasteland, desolate wasteland, desolate wasteland, and then another area in there that does look kind of cool. They needed Favner to kind of lighten it up a little bit, so I enjoyed this idea. Again, I bet no one expected Favner to even be in Endwalker. I mean, we've heard about Favner before. We've heard about Favnerian items, but actually getting to go here and getting to experience the culture was fantastic. And as we'll talk about when we get to Rad's at hand, there is more to talk about when it comes to this area. In terms of design, it's a little bit boring. I like the stuff you can see in the background, don't get me wrong. The mountains are colourful, the giant spike you see in the background, the Tower of Zot, and there's a lot of big open fields. The Great Work's cool, where the alchemists try and dissect Estinian. And of course, we can't forget about the failed, well, not the failed, but the successful teleport attempt. One-way teleport where everyone was sick afterwards. That was very good. But yeah, I think Favner's a good area. If I was to rank it compared to some of the Toliolal areas, like the areas in Yoktural, I would actually put it below them. Mainly because I think that they're more detailed. And they feel more so like expressions of their areas rather than it just being a snapshot, is how I would describe Favner. But I still like Favner a lot. I love what they do here in terms of the story. So I'm going to put it in Great. I think Great is a good place to put it. I'm going to put it above... I want to put it above the Crystarium. Let's put it higher than Gold Saucer. But now it's time to get groovy. That's at hand. My favorite non-main city state, I think, in the entire game. It's a hard argument between Your Mall and this, I think. But That's at hand is gorgeous. The music here, fantastic. Oh, I love this version of Flow. I love everything involved in the story here. Again, like, I have mixed thoughts overall on the patch content for Endwalker. I think the Void stuff is fine, it works, it's good content to have us leading into Dawntrail. But what really drives home how good Favner is the fact that I always enjoy coming here in terms of the story. Like, I want this to be like kind of a secondary hub going forward in the story, because they are kind of doing that a little bit of Dawntrail. Like, Rad's at Hand is pretty important in one area of the plot in that game. But again, love the design of this place. The culture is wonderful, and I enjoy being here a lot. Yeah, the whole dye area, the Mandeville weapons, the marketplace, and of course we can't forget about the kind of incredible reference to Heavensward and the Horde in the form of Vitra, the only dragon we didn't know about at this point, and their handling of that is perfection. Like, Endwalker does a lot of cool things. I think their handling of Vitra and this whole area is up there in terms of peak. We can't, again, ignore the final days, the really fucked up stuff that happens here. The fact that Graha has to step up and be Crystal Exarch for a moment is kind of cool. The fact that Favner, of all places, is the place that is most greatly affected by the final days is really sad. And they handle that pretty well. Like, you feel how desolate it is. Like, again, Endwalker goes into target places than the game has gone so far. And I love Vazzahan. They make you care about this place, damn it. Every single time you have a funny cutscene of someone having something spicy is wonderful. And I'm glad we get this area in this expansion. So yeah, Vazzahan, wonderful. Again, you wouldn't expect this to be the non-main city state in Endwalker, but here we are. So where would I put it? Here's a difficult question. I mean, it's imperfect. Do I like him more than Khan? I don't think I do. I think I like Kagane a little bit more. I'm saying that though, I do really like Vazzahan. Yeah, I'm gonna. If I was, I would put him next to it. But I think Kagane has a slight edge just because it is the main city state, while Vazzahan is a little bit smaller. And I don't love every single area in Vazzahan, but in terms of story and characterization, it is perfect. So yeah, that is it. Now we're gonna go on to the next 4 areas, which are gonna be a little bit divisive. So let's go through this, shall we? Garlemald. Garlemald. We've been wanting to come here since the Realm Reborn. We've been shown it a couple of times in the past, and every single expansion we keep asking, when are we going to be going to the Garlean Empire? When are we going to be going to Ilzabad? Well, not in a way you would expect, because what they've done here is they've turned it into a desolate wasteland. Yes, this is one of the darkest areas in the game, alongside an area we're going to see in Dawntrail later. Love the atmosphere here. The giant, foreboding Tower of Babel in the background over the desolate, ruined remains of Garlemald. The cerulean snowfields. You can feel how dark and cold this place is. Saying that, the patch content kind of dampens this area a little bit, in my opinion. I think that while I liked Garlemald in the MSQ, and they harbored into some dark stuff again, like same with Final Days, I think that their handling of it kind of fell flat for me in 6.3 and 6.4. It appeared too often. Far too often for my liking. Like, they just kept coming back to it over and over and over again. Being like, oh, we have to go here to go deal with an annoyed general. Oh, we need to go here because people don't want us to use the Tower of Babel again. Admittedly, that's a bit of a weird thing, considering the fact that we're trying to save the world from destruction. I know we're trying to help the Garleans here, but like if Zeromus was able to breach through the barrier, a lot of people would have died. There's not really an argument there, in my opinion. We had to do that. But yeah, there's a lot of that in the patch content, and it does sour. I think it's too much. It becomes too saturated. Like, I would have rather they have just left Garlemald where it was at the end of 6.0. Maybe a little bit of it in 6.3. I would have been fine if it was a 6.3, but it's 6.4 and then 6.5. So I thought there was a little bit too much of it. But even then, like, I think the aesthetic of this place, how dark it feels. We can't ignore some of the best story stuff happens here in terms of us getting possessed by Xenos. Us trying to save those poor Garlean siblings who unfortunately die at the end of their quest line. Tertium, a nice little place. Again, I think I got a bit oversaturated, so I don't really like Tertium towards the end. But saying that, there's two Aetherites in this area. One is in the subway, so it's kind of hard to get through this place. That's why a lot of people call it Farlamold when they do hunt trains, because you're doing a lot of traveling in this location. But overall, aesthetic-wise, I'm not one of the people who are kind of annoyed that we didn't get Garlemald in its prime, because like we didn't really need that, to be honest, and I don't really know how they would have handled it for the most part. There was too much stuff going on in Endwalker for Garleans to also be a threat, and their handling of it, I think, was perfect. I think what we got here was very good, and there's always going to be people sad about that, but in terms of design, love it. Garlemald Express, fantastic. The Anima fight, fantastic. The fact that you can tell we all thought Anima was going to be a trial, but it in fact wasn't, they lied to us. Was really cool. So with that in mind, that's Garlemald. Where am I going to put it? I can't put it any lower than great. I think I know where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it above Curthus Western Highlands. I think that's a good place for it. Also, I was struggling to find a colour for Endwalker because I realised I already used yellow for Avema Born. So I was like, what colour do I use? Ah, yes. Let's use orange instead. I was going to go white, but then I thought, nah, it's a yellowish colour in the patch notes as well, and I think that kind of suits Endwalker well. Moving on now to Malamatormen. Moon. Malamatormen. I'm glad I didn't call it the moon, by the way. The spoilers would have been through the roof, so it was smart to give it a different name. I think that it's a cool area. I also think that the kind of excitement kind of runs away a little bit quickly once you stay here for more than an hour, because it's a giant white crater with some interesting things going on in it. I like Zodiac's prison. I love the Watcher's Palace, and I love Bestway Burrows. I don't think it's a bad area by any means, and the Earth, like Aetherius, like rotating in actual time in the background is really damn cool. We all knew we were going to the moon. For all we know, it was going to be a giant white crater. So what we got was more than we expected. Like, I guess Elidibus and Lahabrea were meeting in a bad part of this place. I don't know. But overall, I think that this area is very good. I like the Bestway bows and how the Lopwits appear, and they provide some levity to the plot. The Lopwits are wonderful. We get the iconic "My name's Puddingway" scene with Oyongjae. Oyongjae, I love his relationship with the Lopwits. It's one of my favorite parts of Endwalker, I would say. And we can't ignore the fact that this is where the Zodiac fight is. I mean, we finally kill him. The first trial. The handling of that was perfection. You're already fighting Zodiac at level 83. What do you mean? And yeah, it comes out of nowhere and it's quite shocking until you then get a Lopwits, and it kind of feels better after that. And then the final days is finally released. By the way, a small thing. I'm glad that the locks on the prison are fixed in the patch content, because it makes the area a little bit more appealing, in my opinion. I'm kind of sad we lose Zodiac's prison immediately. You only get to see it for about 10 minutes, but it is cool that you get to see him in a prison before he disappears forever after you kill him. I think their handling of Malamatorm is great. But again, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing area. I like Moon, like Palace, Meteor Shower is cool. I just think, like, the fact that half the area is buried in Best Way Boroughs is a little bit to me. And I don't like how Best Way Boroughs looks for the most part. It's a unique space building like sanctuary, but I'm not a big fan of how it looks. So I'm going to put Malamatorum. Again, it'll be in great. I think Garlemald looks better. I'm going to put Garlemald higher, and I think I'm going to put it right next to Malamatorum. So I'm going to, it's going to be our first line break for great, actually. And probably our only line break. Oh, these opinions are so controversial. Well, don't you worry, because I'm about to get them to the most controversial opinion out of all of them. I do have some weird, like, controversial opinions for Endwalker. I still think it's better than Dawntrail, but there's not like a massive margin. And then I think Shadowbringers is quite a fair margin after that. Right, I'm gonna go get the Elpis music. Elpis! Hello, Elpis. So, in terms of story, I have issues. I have issues with certain plot points. I don't love the fact that we have this inbuilt connection with Vanart just because we're Zem's shard. I wasn't really a fan of the Zem stuff anyway to begin with. So because we just suddenly get on with Vanart, it felt a little forced. Like if they had introduced her a little bit earlier and made her a lot like our ally a little bit earlier, I would have probably enjoyed it more. But it's Hydaelyn, isn't it? And I don't know how they would have done that, considering Elpis comes out of nowhere for the most part. But going through it in order, I think the Hades and Hypnodeia stuff is cool. It's fan service. It is just 100% fan service. Just giving some time to hang out with Hades and his bro was there to give that fans some satisfaction after the final days. And then the slow reveal of Hermes and Meteon was well handled. It was a bit abrupt, but yeah, they couldn't really do anything else because of how late into the content they brought this up. I think that the whole nihilism angle is really cool, and they did it in a way where it doesn't feel cheap, like they just brought a plot point out of nowhere and that was the reason this all happened. It makes sense. It's aligned with Endwalker's whole message about life and finding the purpose in life. So we have that. I think that it's a cool area in terms of story. In terms of design, it's alright. The floating islands are cool. It's very pretty. I like the different lighting they have for different parts of the different weathers. The use of the Amarot kind of weird cold tendrils is a nice little touch. Again, though, like the area is a little bit blank in my opinion. It looks fine. It's beautiful, in fact. But I just have difficulty getting attached to this place as opposed to, say, the next area after this. I think it just comes down to preference. I don't like floating islands that don't really have a whole lot on them. And a lot of these islands are very forgettable. I think the Animesis area, the Aniada area is cool. I think the beginning town area is interesting. But I can't for the life of me remember anything else about this place outside of those two. Dungeon is great. I like how it ends. Even if the memory stuff is a bit shoehorned. I think Elpis is, for what it is well handled. Again, they couldn't really, you knew because this was going to be an entire area, they had to hand-fisted a lot of plots and new ideas to get where they wanted to go to with the story. And for that, it's fine. There's a lot of leeway I'm willing to give Elpis for that because of that. So, yeah. I think if they were to do it again, or they were going to go down this route, because they put Endwalker two expansions together, Elpis didn't feel as fleshed out as it probably should have. But again, do not mind. I think it works. But personally, I think it's an alright area. It's not great. It's just alright. So I would put it at the top of alright. I think it's better than Idleshire. So I'm gonna do that. Right. It's time to talk about Ultima Fuel. So where Elpis kind of felt a little bit hand-fisted and rushed, I thought Ultima Fuel was perfect in terms of design. In terms of execution, it's a little iffy in spots, but I know what they're trying to do here. I think we can't look at Ultima Fuel and go down the route of saying that the sacrifices mean nothing. Because the point where Ishtola's like, no, don't worry, we'll be fine. You can summon us back at any time. We're not actually dying. That line almost blew up this area in terms of like execution. She really shouldn't have said that. But outside of that line, I understand why they did it. Why they have each of the Scions sacrifice themselves here. Because it's their swan song. It's them talking about their journey up until this point. How much they've learned since the beginning, what they've become. And I think it's handled perfectly for each Scion. A lot of people who are like, Thancred doesn't get a whole lot to do. He's already had his arc. Thancred's already had his moment. When he was lying there in Amarang after fighting Vanjit, he just was like, I understand now. I understand what I need to do and how to achieve it, and he's fine of that. He's fine of that reality. So him getting the first death makes sense. He's not going to let his emotions hold him back, and he's able to strike Meteion and create Ultima Fuel for us. Create an actual environment for us to walk on. And across this area, we go through a lot of previous plot points. We go through the dragons, the Vestinian. Get a reference to Heavensword and how we feel about the journey so far with that and how far we've come since then. We go through the Ea with Oyongje and Ishtola, talking about nihilism and how it's important, life is important. And then finally with Graha we get the Omicrons, and we get this beautiful sentiment about exploring the world of him, and he still wants to do that. And then we make our way up with the Leveru twins, and we say goodbye to both of them as they disappear with a confrontation with Meteion. And then the final walk, man. The fact that you can't leave Ultima Fuel once you arrive is executed perfectly. You have to complete this area before you do finish, because you need to focus on it. You can't go away from it and come back. Ultima Fuel is a one-way journey. You need to get to the end and then finish Endwalker. That's what this place feels like. You're going to the edge of existence, damn it. You have to be able to focus on that. So as you make that final trek up there, you relive a lot of memories across the expansions. You see all these spectres, and on your final walk, your Endwalker, if one might even say, you finally make it up there, and you see the Elpis flowers, and see upon this place, and finally go for the dead ends and fight Meteion, the Endsinger. I have issues with Endwalker, especially with the Elpis stuff and the Labyrinthos stuff. But I can't argue how fantastic Ultima Fuel is, and that is not better exemplified than in the song Close in the Distance. Close in the Distance, how it builds across the expansion as more and more of your friends sacrifice themselves to get you to the final confrontation with Meteion. In terms of execution, chef's kiss. Perfect. I think that this is the best handled final area, and that includes Amarot. So, with that in mind, there's only one place to put Ultima Fuel. I haven't even talked about its design. It's gorgeous. The like collapsing stars, the purple. It doesn't feel like any other area in Final Fantasy, and it feels like a final location. It feels at the end of the journey. So, with that in mind, Ultima Fuel, you're going to go up to perfection. You are probably my favorite area in all of Final Fantasy XIV. That is no exaggeration. This is a fantastic place, and It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience finishing Endwalker. So, yeah, that's it. Well, I say that's it. We've got Dawntrail to go through now. Speaking of, let's get a Dawntrail, shall we? Okay, trying to get the drum beat in for the beginning of the song is difficult. But yes, everyone, welcome to Dawntrail, the expansion that follows Endwalker, and that I like a lot. I would put it at the same level as Heaven Sword, I would say, overall, in terms of quality. But saying that, the areas, however, are fucking brilliant. So we're going to get started with Tolialal. Tolialal is... I apologize for how I pronounce these words. I'm not going to do it perfectly. But Tolialal is a beautiful city-state. We saw a lot of it during the trailers. It kind of blends the elements of Sharlayan and Kugane that I wanted. Like, it feels bigger. It feels expansive. But what is there is really unique, and the landmarks are cool. You got the taco place. You got your little cabin. I love the cabin in this area. I think it's probably my favorite cabin area we've gotten in these expansions. Do you see the giant Dawn Servant building to the back? The guard quarters, the merchants district. Each area feels like they make sense for the place they're in, and also the verticality here. I don't think we've had an area like city this vertical since ever. There's so much, like, this is something Dawntrail does a lot. Dawntrail has a lot of verticality when it comes to its locations, and that's something that I can appreciate a lot in terms of detail. You feel how far it is to travel to the Dawn Servant's throne. You feel how long it takes to get up there, and because you can't fly around, the size and state of this area is massive, and you enjoy doing it. In terms of, like, plot points, I enjoy when Attacker is sat on. Again, Dawntrail is a little bit recent, so it's going to be a little recency bias a little bit, but I'm going to try and avoid that. I'm going to try and be strict and cruel as hard as I can. Saying that though, there are areas in this place that do feel a bit empty, like big stretches of ground, and you trying to get to certain areas can be a little bit exhausting at times. But in terms of design, I think it's fantastic. Story-wise, we got a lot of stuff, cool stuff happening here. We fight Galul Jar Jar. We have the invasion where Kval says, "Everyone calm down!" while waving her paintbrush around like a little Disney princess. I love the mammal jar. Oh my god, the interactions that occur here are fantastic. You see so many little characters just running about, all the little mammal jar babies hanging out with their parents. It's really adorable. Also, this music gives me trauma, just because there's a song in Dawntrail that makes me sad. And whenever I hear this song, which has the motif in it, the same motif, I'm like, no, stop it. I don't know what the song is. I keep trying to look for it, but no one's like put it on their playlist yet, and I need to find out what it is so I can feel emotional again. I mean, I can play it in game, but currently it's not marked as anything, so I don't know. Totally allowed. I'm gonna put it in. I'm not gonna put it in perfect. I'm gonna put it in boopin. Do I like Old Charlie more? I'm gonna put it above Lakeland, I think. Again, recency bias, I know, but I think that this area is fantastic. And you're going to see a lot of Dawntrails that are going to be ranked highly, because they're brill. So yeah, next one is going to be Kozumauka. Kozumauka. Hello. Kozumauka is gosh damn gorgeous. Wait, did I get the location art? I hope I didn't. I might have, yeah, I put a location on the top right. Shit. I try and avoid that. I try to have the actual areas showcase themselves. So one of the big things about Dawntrail is the graphics overhaul. They did a lot of work in the lighting engine and the fidelity of the textures to make them pop out even more, and you can see that a lot here. They designed these places in mind of showing off a little bit. So you've got this gorgeous like marshland area with waterfalls, lots of shrubbery and greenery, different coloured trees as well. There's so much style and substance in Kozumauka that is absolutely dripping with stuff to do. I think one could argue that it's empty. Like, there isn't a whole lot of civilization here. But I would then also argue the plot point that take like a one look towards the location and it's gorgeous. Each part feels a little bit different. The waterfalls feel natural to this environment. And also the weather sucks. Most of the time you're going to spend in Kozumauka, it's either going to be raining or it's going to be foggy. You're not going to be able to see how beautiful it is. And I would hold that against the game if it felt like it was out of place, but it isn't. It's a marshland. Of course it's going to be foggy and rainy. So, yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that. plot point wise, we have the Hanu Hanu festival, which is neat. I like that a lot. And then we got the Moblin plotline, which I don't like as much, admittedly, mainly because it rounds out fine. I think the Moblin plotline is fine. We get this delightful little cutscene where Wookiee helps this guy basically become a servant to the Moblins and finding out his destiny and stuff. But then it's immediately followed by a kidnapping sequence that is really dumb and goes on far too long. There's a reason for it. We're getting more cutscenes of Kona and finding out his relationship to Wookiee as her brother. But we now have not one stealth sequence, but two stealth sequences right after each other. So yeah, that was fun. And then we have there's a whole bunch of running around of Erenville. I like Erenville a lot, but it feels like whenever he becomes a big part in the plot in terms of running around, that's when the plot kind of just stops in its tracks. And yeah, in terms of story, it's good. I would say it's good. So with that in mind, Cosima Uka, I'm going to put it in Bupin. I think Cosima Uka is a gorgeous area, and I would love to return here at some point in the future. Where would I put it though? I'm going to put it above Mordona, but below Aziflar. Also the verticality here too, the fact that the northern area is so high up on the waterfalls and you get to explore that is really neat, and I enjoy the verticality that Dawntrail adds to its locations. They really hit like lightning in a bottle with this place, with this expansion when it comes to like graphics, design and dungeons, in my opinion. Right. Urkapaka. Might be my second favorite area in Dawntrail. And I don't even know why, really, for the most part. Because there's a really annoying plot beat here that I want to get through first. While I like the fact that the competition has a part where we have to fight Valley Commander, I think the way it's executed is a bit dumb. Mainly because how it affects how later plot points present the idea of people who taking part in a tournament getting banned. Apparently, Bakul Jar Jar releasing the oldest visual that can kill basically all of Taral, he does not get banned for that. No. If it had been he accidentally released it, and he wanted to prove he was strong enough to beat it, and then got his ass kicked, that would have been much better. But they went down the route of being a bit dumb with that, so I'm going to ignore that plot point. Everything else here is great. I love the Yokoi, the Pelu Pelu. The whole trade quest of the Pelu Pelu is really clever, and I love how detailed it is when it comes to trading and how important that is. We get to see Wookiee help this little Pelu Pelu who wants to become a great trader in the future, and it's a sweet little plot point. This sweet little plot line. I enjoy it a lot. The Yokoi, really interesting culture, kind of harkens back to 9 and the belief that people live on in memory, and they have gravestones that they've created themselves of themselves so that they all be remembered past their life. Music here as well. Cosima Uka's theme is fine. Urkapaka's theme is brilliant. Oh, like I love just flying through this area, taking in the sights. You can just feel the breath of fresh air that is found in these mountains, and that's not better highlighted than the Blue Mountain, the giant structure in the background that you can see from any point in this map. And then when you go up Walker Lacur? I forget what it's called. It's Walker something. You go up the mountain, a beautiful dungeon, and reach its peak and see all the graves up there. There's something heartfelt about it. Like, getting to see this culture and how well established it is in this expansion is wonderful. It kind of makes me annoyed when people say Dawntrail is terrible, because there's so many moments, especially earlier in the story, where they just handle these cultures so well, and I love how established and how detailed Tural feels. I want to come here in real life, damn it. I want to explore these mountains in real life and actually go on a holiday here. That sounds wonderful. And yeah, the Yokhoi, the evil tribe as well, I'm sure we're going to probably get a society quest here at some point. But overall, Ukapaka is high. Again, I don't know what rates it so highly, because there's admittedly there's areas that are probably lower that I would say have better things in them. I think it's the vibe. I think it's the atmosphere of Ukapaka, the mountain, the design, just how beautiful the area is, man. It feels like Ilmeg in some ways, and because of that, I would probably put it. I'm gonna just go crazy here. It might be recency bias, but I'm gonna put it in perfect. I'm gonna put it above Kalusia. As sad as that is, Kalusia, you're not as good, unfortunately. Would I put it higher than... I don't know, actually. Fuck. I mean, these two are... They're probably neck and neck, I would say. I'm going to put Azimstep a little bit higher. It's because I think the story in this area is better. And it's the best part of Stormblood. So I'll give it that. But Dawntrail is more to come in terms of grey areas. So let's get onto that, shall we? Yaktel. Oh, the music became weird there for a second. Oh, yeah. Forget how weird the music is in this. I hope this is the one that Soken does on a Tamatone. Yaktel. This in the next area, I'm not as highly as positive on as Kozumba and Ukapaka. I think it's Ukapasha. I don't know. No, I think it is like a K sound to Ukapaka. But Yaktel. Is it Yaktel? Yaktel, maybe. I think I don't know how it's pronounced exactly, but Yaktel is. I like the fact that there's two different areas here that feel very the northern area is a bit just generic forest. I like the sinkholes, the cenotes. Add a nice unique flair to this place at least. The ruined battlefield that happened between the Mammalja and the Zarkspal is interesting. What I think holds this higher area a little bit higher though is again the music. I'll listen to that. In the song, there's a bit of Garnet's theme, I'm pretty sure, and you can hear it in the night theme a little bit better, but there's a smidge of Garnet's theme in there from 9. But I love the Evil Forest S design of the. It has to be Evil Forest, right? It has to be a reference to Evil Forest. It feels like it. This blue forest is petrified, and the kind of lore behind it is interesting. Basically, a meteor landed here from space, and it's been turning the plant life into this strange, darkened flora. It's an interesting idea for a location. I think that the cooking plot is cool. I don't like how it's executed though. Just going a little bit into Dawntrail and how I would not fix story points, but how I would change them just to make the story a little bit more interesting is I wouldn't have paired up Wuklamat with Krona. The whole point of this plotline is that we're showing the disparity between the Darkspal and the Mammalja. Why would you pair up Krona with Wuklamat? Pair up her with either Bakul Jar Jar or Zoalja. And yet they didn't do that. They just went down the shoehorn route, and it kind of annoys me a lot actually they did that. And I wish we had maybe gone like a smidge more of Zoalja before his eventual twist to bad guyhood. So yeah, it's a plot point I'm not a big fan of, and I kind of wish they executed a little differently. And that's further established in the southern area with the Mammalja. The fact that he gets disqualified for attacking an Elector, fine, makes sense. But in comparison to when, I don't know, someone released a Vigil, a powerful Vigil upon the world, but Bakul Jar Jar did not get disqualified for that. Oh, no, it's fine. Apparently that was okay. Attacking an Elector, though, gone instantly. It could also be them showing that Elector wasn't really sound of mind at the moment, and they were showing how much they relied upon the divine siblings. The blessed siblings, not divine siblings, the blessed siblings. I think that was a cool plot point. Very dark. Like, seeing all the baby jars was a little bit sad. And the cenote dungeon is fantastic. Like, seeing the eventual twist towards the Alexandria technology was a fun way of handling that dungeon. I think they redeemed Bakul Jar Jar to a certain extent. I still have issues with the character, mainly because Wuklamat barely interacts with him after level 95, and all of his cool scenes have no other main character interact with him. For the most part, I kind of hope in the patch content we get more of that. And maybe, you know, have him apologize for releasing a vile visual upon the world, and also stepping on that taco. I want many tacos from you, sir. Anyway, that's story stuff. In terms of design, I think it's cool. I think the two different locations are neat. I'm going to put it in great. I don't think I'm going to put it in all right. Or pooping. And I'm going to probably put it at the far end of all right. So I'm going to put it... Would I put it higher than Malamatorum? Yes. And I'm going to put it higher than Garlemald. You know what? I'm going to put it higher than both of those. I'm going to put it above Amarang. Just Dawntrail areas, there's something else in my opinion. They're wonderful. Saying that, we probably are going to get to the weakest area now out of all of them. Right, hello everyone, time for the cowboy location. This theme is fucking nuts. I can't believe they got away with this. So, if the south is South America, with kind of a Mexico theme, the north is definitely, I would say, along the lines of America. And it's cowboy town too. You got all these people speaking in these deep American accents. And it was crazy when I first went here. I absolutely adored it. On hindsight though, while I think that the plot was fine here, I liked hanging out of Erenville. It did feel like a bit of a nothing burger, and we were just resolving a bit of corrupt politics that didn't really have any impact later on in the plot. But the trolley stuff was cool. I actually thought that they handled the trolley plotline well, because I got very scared when we were starting that, and I was like, oh no, we better not spend the next hour doing this. But no, we go to the we go to the bunny village. We meet, I assume, Kona's people. They don't actually do a whole lot of that. Now I'm remembering it, like they didn't establish any more plot points. I mean, I'm glad, because it probably would have been a bit boring, but yeah, they did that. Then we went on the train, and then obviously the stuff kicked off with Alexandria. But yeah, in terms of area, it's actually pretty short. You don't spend a whole lot of time in Shaloni. Spend about an hour and a half, which is shorter than most areas in 14. I wouldn't even call Vanguard a part of Shaloni. I will, however, say that the train building montage is very cheesy. I don't like Smile. I think Smile is a version of cheesy that Smile is the song, by the way, the song they use. It's the main theme of Dawntrail. I think it's too cheesy. It feels like too much of a pop song, and it doesn't really fit well with the rest of the vibe of Dawntrail so far. But I like building the train. I like that plan of breaking through Vanguard of an explosive vehicle. That was neat. And then a really cool action set piece took place on top of the train as they were making their way towards the giant dome. I thought that was fantastic. But in terms of area design, it's a bit boring, I will say. I think that the cowboy town aesthetic is neat. There's not really a whole lot you can do with an area like this when it comes to them just making a desolate western kind of themed area. But I kind of would have liked a little bit more variety. We have the kind of the mining town, we have the main cowboy town with a saloon that you can actually go into, which is cool. I hope that we get more of this area in the future, and maybe we have an actual interesting cowboy plotline going on. Maybe with Hildebrand, that's what I was thinking they were going to do, but we'll see. But yeah, Shaloni is probably the weakest area in Dawntrail for me, just in terms of aesthetics. So I'm going to probably put it in the far end of great. Would I put the VBC higher than it? Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think I am. I'm going to put it all the way at the end of great. I mean, that's showing how good Dawntrail areas are, because none of them are alright. They're at least passable in some way. Like, even Endwalker had Elpis, I would say. And Labynthos. Right, with that in mind, we're about to get onto an absolute snack of an area. Heritage found. What a tonal electric whiplash after Shaloni. I absolutely adore I think post Heritage Found is my favorite stuff in the game. There's some plot points I would twizzle a little bit, but for the most part, what a fucking area. Even when I first got here, I sat here and was like, this is gonna be my favorite area in the entire expansion, isn't it? Because I adore beautiful landscapes, but I also love apocalyptic wastelands which have a giant menacing purple weird tower in the background. And it's not just that either. There's more to this area than just it being a desolate wasteland. There's lightning. The fact that this is tied to the north area of Taral entering this time dilation prison was a fascinating idea. And it added to the horrors of Heritage Found. I think, you know, the whole regulator mechanic, people, in my opinion, I think Endwalker has the darkest tone overall when it comes to the death, like Final Days, and how people are transforming into monsters because of their own emotions and getting too scared. It's a fucked up idea. But I also think the idea of dying over and over again through a regulator and being constantly brought back to life through that is also pretty fucking harrowing. And the regulator idea is great. I love it. It's an interesting bit of sci-fi that they are using a bit in the raids with the Feral Souls. But the whole idea that people's memories are uploaded to the cloud, and then when they die, people forget about them. Why would you want to deal with grief after you're losing someone? But that idea as a thing is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And I'm going to go into a little bit more when we get to Solution 9, but yeah, those ideas are really interesting to me. But yeah, you can't look at Heritage Found and then be like, this area's kind of bad. I would say it reminds me a lot of the Ether Tree in terms of aesthetic. And my jaw dropped when I saw Alexandria, the destroyed ruins of FF9 Alexandria on the west side, because I thought this west side is going to be really boring, isn't it? Not going to have a lot of interesting plot going on here. But I would say the west side is the best part of the Heritage Found. Like running after small Galulja, meeting Otis, seeing the destruction of this place. Really well handled, I would say, overall. And you kind of can get into the mindset of Sphene as a character. Like, Sphene is wonderful. I have a lot of love for that sort of person. Reminds me a lot of Emmett Selk. Obviously, I mean, that's always the comparison drawn between her. And I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about it. I'm not going to say she's Emmett Selk, but she cares for her people. It's actually an interesting villain angle where you get to see her care for her people. People who are like, why are we spending this time walking around a farm or going over here to go look at these irrigation filters with Sphene? It's to get an idea of this place. We're trying to understand more about Heritage Found. We can't just bust into Zoologist's place and beat him up again. Well, look how that turned out last time. He got revived. He used that red eye thing. We don't know what the red eye thing does. He could have more tricks up his sleeve. We need to know how the regulators work. We need to know how his army works, and we need to know what his place is. Hence, we're gathering information. And that's what Heritage Found is about, gathering information. When Kashia appears and is like, we're going to go find out what this regulator does on this person, that isn't the game creating menial plot points. That's the game showing you what this item does so we know how to deal with it in the future. People aren't willing to give it that little bit of leeway because they're so used to Endwalker just giving them like dopamine hits every 5 seconds of Hermes or Hades and all the Asians. Because of how fast the second half of Endwalker was, people just expect this to be the same, but it isn't. It's very slow paced. Even when we get a Heritage Found. And the music. This is one of the rare cases where I'm going to play the night theme as well, because, oh, it is beautiful. The electric piano, how it feels like erratic lightning. The aesthetic of this place is perfect, and I fucking adore Heritage Found, especially Orogenics is a wonderful area. I want to put this place very high. It is definitely going imperfect. The question of where is difficult. I'm not going to put it higher than Urania Forelands, but I think I am going to put it next to Urania Forelands. Because in terms of emotions I feel whenever I think about this location, I'm going to put it right next to that. Because no other area in this game has kind of pictured the idea of dark, foreboding, and then you get the complete contrast of that with Sphene. I think that Heritage Found is a special location that I'm going to enjoy coming back to, and I really hope we get more of it in the future. I can't really see them disregarding it, so we'll see. But yeah, So, moving on to our last two areas. Solution 9, the non-city-state area in Dawntrail, kind of the smaller city-state. So, after Heritage found, we make our way into the Alexandrian city, and it's, as we expected, Tron City. Futuristic city with, like, meal packets, like, high-tech, like, regulator use, televisions, computers, cars, vehicles. It is about as high-tech as Final Fantasy XIV has ever been, and it will ever become, I assume. It just comes out of nowhere. There's a lot of arguments to say that they shouldn't have spoiled this area during the initial reveal of Dawntrail and its locations, but I honestly think that it was a good idea to sort of give people a little bit more intrigue and be like, what the hell is this place? What are we doing here all of a sudden? Why are we in a purple city? I thought we were going to be in a more traditional, like, kind of Mexican-esque city-state, but no, we are now in Futureland, in Tron Legacy. So, Solution 9. How would I describe Solution 9? I would describe it as empty and a bit barren. I think that the residential district is a bit boring, and the worker district is a bit boring, but where you go to the Arcadium, that place is really cool. All the skyscrapers that surround you, and how detailed the character interactions that occur there are really cool. But it's a bit empty. I think it looks great. It uses one color mostly, which can get a little bit boring over time, but in terms of style and substance, it's a bit lacking. In terms of city-state design, it's a bit disappointing, but outside of that, I'm not going to harken on Solution 9 longer, because I think that it is going in directions that are good for location design going forward. It is massive, it's different, and I like all the little plot points that occur here, like running around with Speen. Again, why are we doing this? Why are we going around with Speen? How boring. We're trying to find out more about her people, and we find out about Levin sickness and how people died of it because of how much lightning there is in the air. We find out about Galuja, and we get that infamous You're Not Alone scene, which is again a reference to 9, I think. And then the Arcadium. This big old place where people go in a coliseum and fight using fell souls is really fun. And I love how vibrant and colourful this place feels compared to Heritage Found and the soon-to-be final area. I don't really have a whole lot else to say about it. It just feels very high-tech and a bit sparse. Kind of like an actual computer, which I guess is the intent. But I can't see myself just walking around residential district or the working district, but it's fine. I'm going to put it in great. I'm going to put it probably above Malamatorum. Actually, I'm going to put Malamatorum a little bit higher, actually. So I'll put it just below Malamatorum. And now we're going to be moving on to the final area in this entire ranking. This has been a bit of a longer part because I had more stuff to say about Dawntrail and Endwalker, I think. But let's get to this, shall we? I will play the music right now and just get right into this. Living Memory. So, I want to go through the current fan opinion of Living Memory across a lot of the community is the fact that this feels repetitive and very, very similar to how Endwalker and Shadowbringer's final area. Now, I agree with that to a certain extent with the dungeon. I think Alexandria is a little bit too similar in regards to how it's showing a civilization getting destroyed. We've had that, and we've had that in Amarot. We had that with Dead Ends, seeing all those nations destroy themselves, and we had it with the patch content. People always forget that we see Basil, the city of Basil being destroyed. So, yeah. But in terms of Living Memory, I'm going to throw that argument directly out of the window and not apologize for it, because what are you saying? Are you saying they can't do an area like this just because it's been used? The whole point of this expansion, the whole point of this area is showing that Sphene is creating this idyllic landscape for her people, the Endless. She wants them to be happy. And that is going to create a plot point similar to the others, even though I wouldn't even say that, considering Amarot was a recreation of Emmett Selk's memories and his sadness for losing his people, and Ultima Thule is a creation through Dynamis of civilizations losing themselves. I would say that Living Memory is entirely different. These are actual memories, these are actual people, if you want to go that far, and they're living here. And because of that, it kind of feels like an anti-Ultima Thule. We're here to turn out the lights. We're here to stop this so that we can get to Sphene. And we go through this melancholic, really depressing journey of seeing these people and how happy that they are. They get to be reunited after death. How they get to have fun and see all these little plays and stuff. How they get to reunite with their families and find out more about the past, or losing, with Erenville's case, losing his mother again. And it's still fresh in my memory. Like, I'm getting flustered just thinking about it, Living Memory, and how perfectly it was handled. Because as soon as you turn the lights out, they don't come back. You get these places, they become dark and desolate. And all the NPCs go away. You still got a couple of side quests of lingering people staying behind, which is a very clever way of doing it, mind you. I like how they handled that. But even the music. Like, the music goes away once you finish an area. I was tempted to create a separate graphic just to show how it changes across time, but yeah, making your way through Living Memory, experiencing people's happinesses and having to tear it away from them, because I have difficulty separating the memory from the person. Like, I went into this, and even though I know it's not them, it's just their memories of them creating them, I still feel like we're still killing them to a certain extent. They might be happy about it, they might be content, but we're still doing this. And each area is a gut punch after the next gut punch. Like, you go for the canal town, you get a gondola ride of Grahatir, and you get this beautiful little scene of him talking about what he would do if he could allow his people one more day of life, and that he wanted to be happy. The people of the Crystarium. The people, not only of the Crystarium, but the people from his old timeline. And he just sit there and be like, damn, Grahatir, why are you cutting the onions? And then taking out Canal Town's lights. Otis and the theatre. Harkening back to Final Fantasy IX, using our own nostalgia against us as players who have probably played 9. They're using our memories against us and making us feel sad about what's transpiring before our eyes. When I hear the argument, why did they use the old music from 9 and not change it up enough or do reorchestrations, I would also like to say that was intentional. You're meant to feel sad. You're meant to feel that this is familiar. So yeah. And then meeting Qual's parents, only for her to lose them again after this time, was devastating. I really liked the fact that she got to meet them. Was very awkward at first. She didn't lose her personality when she meeting them. Like, she still was very reserved and didn't know how to speak to them. And then Grahatir came over with giant ice cream. That was cool. And to cap it off, and I would say one of the saddest moments in the entire game. I don't know why it hit me so emotionally, but it did. It hit me like a sack of bunnies. Kashir's death. A character who I wasn't entirely in love with. I really started to like her in this final area. Because even though she's dying, and she's sad to see Erenville that way, and knowing that she's going to... Also, the music just changed. No! Get out of here, of you! I don't want to start hearing this. I need to be sad. I need to be sad. Oh, there we go. Even though she's sad to see Erenville, like, grieving over this, she doesn't want to die sad. She wants to die happy, doing a little adventure of Erenville in its final location. I really like that, by the way. It didn't feel menial. I felt like these moments were important and showing how, oh, I love doing this with you, Erenville, and I am glad I got one more chance to hang out with you before turning out the lights forever. And then we have this beautiful scene where she says goodbye, and one of my favourite directing decisions, by the way, in that scene, when Erenville can't even look at her because of how sad he is. He's looking down, and then you have Kashir, who's, again, keeping on a happy face. She lets out one tear, And as it travels down, Erenville sees it. And then they both just kind of just sit there for a moment in that silence, and it's just, this feels like peak Final Fantasy. It literally is a Final Fantasy. Living Memory is like a fantasy that is final for these people. And there's an argument to be said that Sphene as a character is a bit weird, considering that her plan will never be realized forever. Like, this is a futile plan that's going to eventually run out of souls. Sure. But this is an AI. This is a computer-generated program that is doing this. It isn't Sphene to a certain extent, but she still feels awful doing it. She's aware of the fact that it may end, but for now, she can keep her people happy. In the moment, they can live. And we get some great characterization for her in that regard. Like, Sphene as a character holds her beliefs, and she finally gets some resolve at the end, and she's like, no, fuck you. I'm looking after my people, and I'll do it my way. Like, you came over here, you start killing my people, I'm gonna fuck you. And that's a really interesting character decision. I like that a lot. Overall, Living Memory is peak Final Fantasy, and I absolutely adore how they handled this place, and I cannot wait to see what they do in the future when it comes to Final Fantasy next expansion, whatever they're going to do with the final area. They do another ancient civilization that has been like destroyed and now has been recreated. Well, that it might be a little bit iffy, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. But Living Memory is great. I'm sad it goes, but we have those memories still of the place that it once was, and that's what we need to learn to keep. Right, and that's it. I'm going to put Living Memory somewhere. Perfect is where it's going to go. I'm going to put it... honestly, I'll put it below Heritage Found. I think I like Heritage Found a little bit more, and I'm going to put it higher than Kangana. Yes. Yes. Which means we finally do a line break on Perfect. Dun, 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 dun. I'm gonna put it, just below. I'm gonna put Kagane a little bit higher, I think, but I'll put it between that and Radzahan. Alright, that's it though. That's our entire ranking. So we've got all these areas at the top. Ultima Fuel will be my favorite area in the entire game, in my opinion. That and the Tempest are beautiful. Like, there's no other feeling like going through Ultima Fuel and listening to the Close in the Distance. But yeah. Look at Heavensward being up here. Like, we've got expansion for the most part. Heavensward, Stormblood, Dawntrail, Shadowbringers, and Endwalker. The only one that's not in here is Unborn. I think the highest Unborn area is probably great. Oh no, more donor. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this ranking. A bit divisive when it comes to Endwalker and Dawntrail, but for the most part, nice job, Final Fantasy XIV. You're a really cool game, and I love your areas. So, the plan is, the next ranking is going to be, I think I said Trials? Either that or Duties. It might intermix Trials and Duties, but they will be for each expansion, and chances are Ramaborn is going to be broken up into two, because there's a lot of dungeons in Ramaborn. So I'll see you guys for that, but I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.